this may sound funny when I start talking about things about God, the vibration, as an individual, because God is also an individual, but he's also everything. Like, just how you are an individual, but you're also God. God is everything, yet he can become individual. Like, in me, it's him, but it's the him in me. So as odd as it sounds, it's just like, that is possible. And I can tell you that God, he cares, he loves, he feels, he's afraid sometimes, he accepts, though. Everything he's afraid of, he accepts. And I've taught him how to do that better, and he's taught me, of course, how to do that better. In much more of a sense has God taught me. I haven't taught him in much of a sense at all. He's just using my body to catch up to where I've been and understanding it again. I mean, he's understood it 1,000 times. He's been geniuses, so it's not like that. But the God in me that knows all up to this point and beyond, all possibilities, because you can't tell what is, no matter what dimension you're in, you can't tell which reality is reality until it passes that dimension's version of time and space, because it's not all called time and space. Some of it is just called other things, and then some of it runs like time. Some of it's like time backwards. Some of it is like time is actually 37 seconds in a minute, or there's every dimension, man. Like, a day is 64 hours, and an hour is 24 hours. An hour in that dimension is what our 24 hours would be, and a day is like 60 days. A day is the length of a month, or 2 months even. Like, a month is the length of a year. There's so many different possibilities. It's too much to explain. But anyway, I just wanted to take this time because I'm going to just enjoy my ride here. I'm getting the ability to focus when I want to, and I asked God to let me talk normally to my mom without, freaking her out or always talking about the cosmos or the universe or some kind of really in-depth subject. Today, I actually woke up from sleep. I heard my mom coming down the hallway in my sleep while I was deeply sleeping. But at the same time, I had already been awake, and I had already went to work and came back, and I had already done that stuff. Like, I saw my day of work ahead of time before I woke up. So now I can be like, well, that's not what I want to do today. I want to do this instead. But it's like I'm still developing the ability to tune into it and make it feel more real. So, like, my day is still upcoming, and it can be anything. It can be spontaneous. But now I see, like, the imaginary possibilities. And, like, with other stuff, sometimes if it's not about me or if it's about something that's really not a big deal, like not the whole day, I can see what are more likely to be the more likely possibilities. Like, I don't know, it's really cool. And like, I'm learning this process of sleep, where in my sleep, say when you go to lay down, or say put your arm up straight and then drop it down, and see how you see those little, I don't know what you'd say, like the phantoms of motion, like how it breaks. It looks like your arm is like 70 arms. If you go really fast, you can see the motion. Well, if you slow you leave that the way that motion looks and slow it down so it looks like you have 70 arms. And when you do that, then you stop each one. Say if you have 70 arms, it's just 70 arms. But if you picture yourself laying down to go to sleep, and you see like 3 or 4 of yourself, and you stop this one, stop that one, stop this one, you say, hey, you sleep for what equals 3 hours, you sleep for what equals 3 hours, you sleep for what equals 2 hours, and I'll see you in a few minutes. You close your eyes. Once you hit REM sleep state, your sleep, the images in your sleep of yourself start being able to keep their memories and start being able to acquire energy. So like the things that we do in memory cards that we can make a smaller size, more powerful, like we can start doing that in our minds and saving our energy, because there's going to be a point where people don't want to sleep all the time. People want to be awake to experience. And then when they feel like their body's really tired, they can tell their brains, okay, I want to sleep a real physical 8 hours in the human plane. They can tell their brain that. And at one point in time, their brain will understand what they mean by saying, I want to go to a trip to the dimensional plane. I want to go on a trip to the earth plane. I want to go on a trip we're always on the earth plane. But I mean, it could be like in the hemisphere, but you're not the human earth plane. Like we'll construct side, like areas. We'll say like the earth plane, there's the human plane, there's the human earth plane. You know, like, you can separate them, but you'll always know, and you'll always be able to, like, until you can, you won't be allowed to have this power, but you will always know when you're in the present time. In the present time compared to our so-called now, because we don't want to have somebody who's stuck in the past, present, and future, or else they turn into a statue, and we don't want that. Like, a statue is such a very, very amazing invention, because it takes memory, it takes you know, non-space, non-time memory to keep something that stays stationary. It's actually harder to keep something stationary than to have something fluctuating and moving. Imagine if your body didn't recycle its cells and you got bashed and they never replaced themselves. You just walk around with a big bash in you. You know, things always are easier to keep constructing when they're moving and working. So that's why when people say, you know, it takes money to make money, they don't mean you got to have a whole bunch. They just mean, like, you know, if you want to make $100, pretend you're seeing yourself make $100, but spend a quarter just to get the money in motion, and tell that money that you put in the quarter machine, hey, I'm going to let you go here, but why don't you go grab a couple of your friends and bring them back. Tell them that it's real fun to hang out with me. And, you know, believe that you're doing it. Have fun. Be lighthearted. Play. Be joking. Next thing you know, you're going to run into a quarter on the sidewalk. We're like, and that will increase your belief a little bit. And every time you increase your belief a little bit, those things will compound and compound and compound and build up. And the next thing you know, you'll be having such a great time just being a human being that you won't even care if you get to the other levels. And I've already seen through my mom and dad that they're not interested in it. I've already asked a couple people if they could have the superpower of being the divine God, what would they do with it? And someone was like, I wouldn't want it. And I'm like, wow, you wouldn't want it? I didn't really know that if given, I mean, see, I think people don't realize that it's a true thing, that this is true. So if someone really knew that the real power of the divine God could be yours, I wonder if they would turn it down. And honestly, my mom, I can tell that she's starting to sense that I am either a super genius who's making very, very, like, supremely, insanely, you know, smart, accurate predictions. And, you know, I'm telling the past in the human world, I'm telling the past the way it is, because I can see it all in the split second, because time and space really don't exist. They're just a vibration. And it's all memory. It's all memory. Vibrations and memory. Those are two of the things that make things happen. That's why we could actually turn electric into memory electric that stores memory at a certain, you know, amperage, or however you would say it, and increase it more while it's being stored, so that we don't have to keep, you know, I'm not sure how electric works, because I've never talked to somebody who works in an electric company, but once I do and I see how it works, we can create all kinds of new, safer, easier innovations to our electric. We can develop new, safer innovations to our, you know, to our vehicles. I mean, I've already seen a world where there's no pollution and no smoke, and I know it can be possible, but right now that vision is very, very, very faint, because you got to have people that believe in good. People don't believe in good anymore. How do you make people believe in good when they're sitting there walking around saying everything sucks, it's just another shitty day, same shit, different day? That's all people have been doing. And I've been writing songs about that for like the last 10 years. There was a point in my life where all of a sudden it just changed around, and I started writing motivational songs. And every once in a while, I'd always feel like it was right, because it was the God in me telling me that, or the spirit in me telling me that. But then there was Dan, who had this ego, that everyone has an ego and has willpower and all their own, you know, their stuff. So I would always think, like, man, I wish I could go back to writing some of my crazy, wild songs, because that's what people want to hear. But you know what? Even deep down, when I would think that, I would know, well, you know what? I don't want to make what people want to hear. I want to make what I want to make. And then I started getting proud of what I'm saying, because I listened to the words and thought, you know, more people should really feel like that and really want to help, really want to save the world. I mean, it seems so ridiculous, because if someone wants to save the world, that sounds dumb. Like, well, why? Because you think of yourself as such a little thing. Think of yourself as the world. Next thing you know, the world doesn't become so hard to save. If you were the world, what would you do to save yourself? Well, make your brain the world and pretend you're the world, and tell me what it needs to be fixed. And how would you fix it without harming yourself? You don't harm yourself. Even the world doesn't want to harm itself. God doesn't want to harm himself, but he's trying to make himself the best he can be. Just like when you have a problem studying or focusing, you work on it. So when God has a worldwide problem of people not getting along, he wipes some of them out. I mean, I know it's harsh, but that's what you would do. You don't see the bacteria on your arm causing an itch, like I'm saying. And I'm sorry I used the itch as an example, but it's a good enough way to get the picture across. If you have an itch on your arm, you're not like, well, I'm just going to leave it. But you're also not like, well, chop the arm off. So you try to do it to the least most intense, painful or harmful degree possible. And as the more we get aware and the more we get consciousness, we'll be able to do it with the least most possible. Right now, we're getting less conscious, and we're wiping out people more, the most as possible. We're doing stuff like school shootings and young people getting misled by the games and the movies and the bad vibrations that are going on all around us. Because it's okay to do everything, and you have to accept everything. But to condone it by watching, by celebrating the military and celebrating Vietnam and celebrating the veterans, every person that sees a picture of someone being shot or feels the pain of somebody coming home with a flag on them, I feel horrible for them because I've been them and I understand it more than even a veteran. My brother, my dad, they're veterans, but I understand being a soldier so much more than they do. But how can they even understand that I mean it when I, Dan Alexander, haven't been in any war, haven't joined any military, but I've been in every single war, not just the ones that they were in, or not just in the military like my brother. I've been in every single I've been the athlete's foot in every soldier's boot. You know what I mean? I've been everything. And when I tap into it and focus, I could go into a scenario of when I was a soldier and come back and tell them a story better than theirs. But it's not about winning the competition. And that's the acceptance thing. Like, I know that when someone's talking, I could say, well, I could tell you what the answer is if I just focused on it. But that makes me seem weird. So, at the same time, I don't want to scare people or outdo them because that causes a negative vibration. Even having supreme power or supreme intelligence or supreme ability, those things, jealousy is just as bad as murder. Like the negative vibration you can get from jealousy if someone's like, I can't stand him. Say someone like God, I can't. You ever hear someone go, oh, they annoy me, like that? That vibration, when you make a noise, when you make a grunt that isn't your native language's, words, like when we go, oh, I hate that. I can do it right now because I'm doing it from my heart to tell you an example out of unconditional love. So I can do that. And I know that makes a little bit of sense, I hope. But if not, it might not make any sense. But it's the way you present yourself. And if you're coming from a spot of unconditional love, there's no negative vibration coming from you. I mean, there's the negative vibration of the negative meeting the positive to hold it equal kind of thing. That's it. So it's not the overly negative. It's the equal vibration, the harmonious vibration, put it that way. So, I don't know, there's a lot of cool stuff that we have to learn together. Every day, some new, different things will come up. And I know it seems like, well, what else could you come up with? And I promise you, I'll keep coming up with endless ideas. Some of them will be big, some will be small, some will be silly, some will be really amazing. But either way, we're all going to do it together, and you're all doing it through me, whether you know it or not. You're creating the world as we go through me, and I'm creating the world through you, and God is creating the world through me. I'm so happy. Anyway, I love you guys. I'm not going to do any more talking until I get to Walmart, or at least till I get done stacking my truck, because I want to get done with work and do some timely stuff today. And I mean, because I understand time and space don't really matter, but I still have to be in the earth plane, so I have to be a human and enjoy the human earth plane, which is like being here and being centered. You can be in the earth plane and just walk around and, have normal control, like I was when I was a normal person with a normal brain. But then when you're on the human earth plane, it would be like you're allowed to forget completely. The human earth plane, I don't know. I'll make the definitions and the descriptions once I totally know how to put them into words, because those aren't really important. But if people want structure, I have to do that too. So it's a little bit important, just so I can. When they're like, well, what does the earth plane mean? I can see that happening. So I guess I do have to make definitions for some of the things, but until then, it's not that important, because I don't see anybody else getting blessed with this skill or developing their mind to the point of this for a while, because it's going to take a lot of convincing for some reason. I can feel it in people's heart and soul when I talk to them that they know that I know what I'm talking about, but they're just having a hard time believing it because of their beliefs, and I understand that. So therefore, I know just through the way my mom and dad react that it's going to be really hard to get a stranger to do it if I can't get my parents to do it. Or if I can't even get my parents to even try. I'm like, if I give you this thing, will you do it? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. And then after I tell you all these stories, do you think I'm lying? My mom's like, no, I don't think you're lying. I'm like, but you don't want to do it? And she's like, nope, I want to live a normal human life, and I want to die when I die, and I want to whatever. And I'm like, really? She doesn't want to know her future. She doesn't want me to go into her past, and I don't want to go into her past. I respect people enough to never, ever, ever go into their past or look into their future or even attempt to until they ask me. So therefore, it's going to be hard for me to develop those skills because I think that's personal. And I care about people who think everything should be personal. I myself have an open book, but I won't tell anything about somebody unless they give me the permission to. That's how I've always been, because I'm respectful. And I think it's funny now that I look back in retrospect of myself and realize how respectful I've always been to people. And people are like, you're so disrespectful. Because people confuse so many things, so many definitions. And by them saying I was disrespectful, that little bit of negativity took me a little bit off my course to finding God. Like, the reason people are having such a hard time finding it is because there's that much negativity in their lives. If you can see something that you're doing negative to someone in your life, whether it's when they say, hey, I'm going to be this, and you're like, that's so hard to do, that's not going to happen. Or whether it's watching the news and saying, I can't believe how stupid these people are. If you see yourself doing that, do yourself a favor by doing me a favor, by doing yourself a favor. Turn the channel over to something that makes you smile and laugh, even if it's ridiculous. Because then if it actualizes, it'll be on some comical fun plane. I know that sounds funny to you with me using all these plain things, but this is important. Get yourself away from negative things. Please, it's good for you, it's good for your kids, it's good for humanity. Get yourself away from negative things until you can handle them and accept them. And then, if you choose to, you can go back to them with 100% certainty that they're not going to put you off into some negative vibration. So anyway, I got to go. I'm almost at work. I've been talking for 17 minutes, and I was just going to say something real quick. But I told myself that if I'm driving or I'm not at a point in time where I can work, then I'm allowing myself to interrupt me, even as me or you-know-who, because this stuff is important. And not only am I a genius, because I've been told that by somebody very, very worthy and very trusting, that I can trust what he says, which is really cool. I say he because he's in me, and girls probably say she because if they don't believe in that kind of religious God, a girl says she, or if a girl says he, it's just because that's what they've heard. But either way, that being is also, he thinks I'm a genius, but there's a mega genius, or let's say omni-genius. Like, you can just throw the word omni on anything that you want to make, like, God level, I guess. It's like, it's all of everything. It's ultra omni-genius. But I love you guys. God bless you. I love God. I love humanity. I love people. I love me. I love Dan. I love my family. And I hope everyone has a great day. And be grateful and happy for whatever you get, because it's all part of the big plan. I love you. Talk to you later.